and welcome to the session as part of the buildingSMART International Standards Summit Berlin 2025. Thank you. My name is Andre, and I will be your moderator today. This session is scheduled to last 90 minutes, including time for questions at the end. The session is being recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. Before I hand over to the speakers, I would like to remind you that this is a hybrid event. For online attendees, your microphones will remain muted for the duration of the session. For the attendees here in the room, please keep background noise to a minimum, and if you wish to make a comment or ask a question, please raise your hand and use the microphone. I would also like to bring to your attention that buildingSMART is committed to ensuring that participation in development standards is unrestricted, process for their adoption is transparent, and standards that are developed do not favor any particular provider and are open, and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. And now I would like to hand over to Geir Paulsen.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Berlin. My name is Geir Paulsen, difficult to pronounce. I'm the CEO of GS1 Norway, and I'm also having the role as a sponsor for what we call the Center of Excellence Construction. See if I managed to do this. Okay, there we are. Okay, I have the pleasure to guide you through today's program, and it's extensive, a good program, and it's a diverse program. And one of the emphases is to show how standardization, and especially the collaboration between GS1 and buildingSMART International, can help to transform this construction industry at a global scale. Our collaboration started back in 2018, October the 18th. We signed an MOU between GS1 and buildingSMART International to advance global standards in the construction sector, that we can collaborate on events like this one. But first, for those who don't know GS1 as an organization, let me give you a glance and also why and how we are working together with the construction industry. We say that we are powering trust in data for everyone and everywhere. We are creating the world's most used supply chain standards, but also one of the most recognized symbols, like you can see here. And by innovative standards and services, we help to enhance the trusted identification and also trusted data. Collaboration is in our DNA, and together with the industry, we ensure interoperability across all industries, stakeholders, and geographies. Now we are in the process of moving from a traditional EN13 code over to the well-recognized QR code. You will see great example of this through many of the presentations later today. And looking at this slide, we say that we are going or help to go from a fragmented to an industry to an interoperability. And for GS1, why are the construction industry important? We know that there is a need for digital transformation for the industry. Looking at the last year's cost increase and also still having the lack of productivity improvement in the industry, and in combination with the tsunami of regulation coming in and hit also this industry, there is a need to harmonize standards and digital solutions or a significant is a significant necessity. So, showing this slide, we are working together with the industry on a global scale. We saw the need to support the industry on a broader scale, and especially in Europe. So in 2021, GS1 in Europe launched the concept Center of Excellence Construction by six pioneering member organizations. This has now been growing to 15 member organizations over the world, especially in Europe and Asia Pacific. This team is led on a daily basis by Ildiko Lieber, who should be here today, but unfortunately she couldn't. So Ildiko, if you are watching, the team and me wish you the best. At our global General Assembly in May this year, we decided that construction became a part of GS1's global strategy. When that became a reality, we also voted in the ever first construction industry representative in, at the management board, and that was Mr. Sorry, Thierry Bercy from Sika. And you can see from his on the screen, you can see his relevance of having this position. So I leave the floor to you, Mr. Thierry. I thank you for participating on this.
Thank you for the introduction here. And let me just follow up because you might wonder from my title, I'm head of global project conformity. How am I involved in the subject of this session and what I'm doing at all with this strange title? So just brief intro, Sika as a company manufacturing specialty chemicals for construction industry, other manufacturing industries, present in 102 countries, operating more than 400 factories. And my very simple task within that company is to ensure that all products that we are manufacturing meet all binding obligations in all the countries we are present. It's quite simple and small. And since many of you are construction experts here, you know that it doesn't stop at the country because the requirements actually depend on of the products in the final construction work. So complexity is slightly bigger than that. And because that challenge is not big enough, I'm also involved looking into the future, driving innovations in the right direction. And I think to be successful in future and to contribute as construction industry, we have to address big challenges. The big challenges of construction industry, there are some, let's say on one side, environmental impact on sustainability is quite important. Construction, probably the biggest contributor to extracting raw materials. It's the biggest contributor to waste landfills. It's maybe together with transport, construction work is the biggest contributor to global warming in the world. And all of that doesn't really blow out because improvement in productivity lags behind any other industry during the last decades. So quite a lot of things to do. And all of it relates back to the same thing. It's the issue that in construction, each project is individual, and it's particularly individual in how actors collaborate. Because the combination of actors in every project is different, and all of them use their own way of addressing things, communicating. We don't understand each other, and this thing leads me to the core of that session. And to mention the collaboration between GS1 and buildingSMART. It's to define one global language that everyone can use. That one global language must still be understandable in 25 years whatsoever, because we want to reuse our buildings, to reuse components used in that building in a long time, so next renovation cycle. For me, the core here, in all as promise, we need to be able to link the physical item to its digital information long term. We must be able to location of that physical item also long term digitally. And at the end, we must also be able to locate the thing, the physical item, in a construction object, in a building over long term. And that, I think, brings together all the topics here, is bring together the standards in developing one in a buildingSMART, make them kind of like mm, open standards that can still be understood in many years, which have a continuous development. And with that, I would like to hand back to Gear and to introduce the first topic.
Thank you, Thierry. We are very happy to have you at the management board. And as you saw, this experience is valuable for not only DS, for the industry in it all. Okay, the next speaker, that will be Sherwin. And Sherwin will tell his last name himself. He is head of construction, GS1 UK, and he will tell more about GS1 in a nutshell. So, Sherwin, the next 15 minutes.
Here. Morning, everybody. My name is Shelvin Gustafsson. I'm head of construction at GS1 UK. My background is in digital construction and building information modeling. I'm very happy that I'm here today. Just before I start my presentation, may I ask you just to grab your smartphone and scan this QR code? We would like you to engage. We just want to know you a little bit more and also understand your level of awareness about GS1 standards. So you should see one question. Please answer one. The first question. I'll give you a couple of minutes. While you're answering the first question, I just want to say that here mentions our Center of Excellence lead, Eldrick, was supposed to be here presenting this due to health issues. He couldn't be with us. So, Eldrick, if you're watching us, first of all, we all pray for your health and recovery. And please get well soon. I won't recover you next time. Okay, please go to the second question. So the second question is about your role in construction. Great. So, who is GS1? I'm sure this is a question for some of you in this room. Imagine you are on a site and you receive three door handles, but only one of them is compatible with the fire door. This is not an exaggerated case. This is happening on the construction site for different items and metrics. So, when you receive three, these three examples are from three different manufacturers, but only one of them is compatible with fire doors. This is a challenge on the construction side, but it's not a challenge anymore on other industries like retail or healthcare or other industries. How they overcome this challenge? By uniquely identifying their products. So when you uniquely identify your products, the chance of mis-identifying the products on a side almost eliminated. We are, as Geir mentioned, we are a global organization. We are in 120 countries. And we're not new. We have been in business for over 50 years. And already 2 million companies are using our GS1 standards. And our barcodes are being scanned 10 billion times a day. And we are in more than 20 different industries. But our core values, as I mentioned, we are global, not for profit, so we're completely neutral. We work with all industries and all members and stakeholders. Our standards are open, accessible, and can be used by the whole supply chain in the construction industry. And we are an industry and user driven. We listen to the industry, we understand their needs, and we develop our standards based on their needs. So I mentioned about our history. This is just an infograph shows where the journey started. It goes back to 1974, where the first product scanned in the US. We came a long way from 1974 to 2025, when we're now talking about digital product passport. But all we do is based on three simple steps: identify, capture, and share. So when I'm talking about identifications, we are talking about 12 different identifications for 12 different reasons. But these are, four of them that I picked for today. Global Trade Item Number, or GTIN, is the barcode that you see almost everywhere. In supermarkets, retails, it's the number and the barcode that you see on almost every product in the shops. We also have a unique ID to identify locations or functions. It is called global location numbers. We also identify assets, and we go to the instance level of products or assets. and we call it GIAI, Global Individual Asset Identifiers. And when it comes to the tracking or tracing pallets, we have SSC. But as I said, this is 4 out of 12 different identifications. But what does it matter? So if we search for a product by part number or SKU numbers, you won't end up to one product. You will end up to multiple products because manufacturers using almost the same numbers. But when you are using unique ID, the chance of you getting to a two product is almost zero because our numbers were always unique. Since 50 years ago till today, every product had a unique number and will always remain unique. But the impact of misidentifications, I listed five, focus on two, which is probably the most challenge or the most important one for the construction industry: time and money. So by ordering wrong product, you delay the project and also add cost to the projects. I don't think I need to cover the rest. Time and money are probably the most challenging things on the construction. There are many ways. So we have the linear barcode, which you are all familiar with, EAN or UPC. We now have the QR powered by GS1, which I'll show you an example in the next slide, but I know my colleagues will cover that in their presentations. And RFID, radio frequency identifications. So it really depends on your use case. For example, if you don't have that line of sight, RFID can be the right method of capturing information. So these are the method of capturing information. What's important is the data behind these data carriers. So this is an example of QR powered by GS1 and why it's different than the normal QR. As you can see, we have a digital link embedded to the QR. And that digital link can carry all traceability information you need for your product, from the GTI to batch number, lot number, quantity, size, manufacturing date, or whatever you can think of. And then QR can be linked to another kind of platform, which we call it Resolver, where you can store all relevant information for that particular product. We also have standards for sharing data, which I'm not going into the details, but as I mentioned, three simple steps: identify, capture, share. Construction industry is very fragmented. Many players, many stakeholders providing information at different stages. Majority of times, these information are not interoperable, are not structured, and are not basically consistent. Some of them are outdated. We don't, and we could, they are being used on the construction side without knowing they are outdated. So it's a very complex nature, and that's why the efficiency is not great in the construction industry. And that's how GS1 Standards can improve that. But why now? Coming from the construction background, I can tell you it's too late. But okay, we need to start at one point. So there are three key reasons. One, regulations. There are so many regulations across the globe. Uh, some of my colleagues will cover a few of them. But in the UK, we have the Building Safety Act, where you need to capture product information in a digital way, which can be accessible at any time by anyone who needs to have access to that information. Again, that's not going to be possible if we don't use a common language, a common way to identify our products. Digital transformations, we are at the Building Smart International, so we all know that the construction industry is in the middle of its transformations. Again, I mentioned that my background is in digital construction. Connecting digital world to the physical world without having a common language, which is global, interoperable, and consistent, is almost impossible. We can do it in silo, but it's not going to work. And sorry, last but not least, sustainability and circularity. So we are moving from a linear industry into the circular industry. So in order for us to identify a product or how to recycle a product in the 60 years time, 50 years time, again, we need to be able to trace that product back to its origin. And that's only possible if we're all using the standard that are interoperable, global, and consistent. Again, my colleague will cover part of the circularity in their presentations later on. But this is our standard across the supply chain, from raw materials to the construction and post-constructions. And at the top, you can see where different GS1 standards play their role to create that traceability and make the stream of information easy from start to finish. So Gear mentioned about Center of Excellence. But why are we collaborating together? So we would like to share experiences. We would like to know what's happening in the other side of the world. So we don't need to learn the same lesson over and over. So we share best practice, share all our lesson learned. We are trying to shape policy, and we believe together we have more power to do that. We don't want to shape the policy in one country. We would like to shape the policy across the globe. We are working with associations when we are developing standards based on the industry needs. We don't want to develop a standard for one nation or one region. We would like to make sure that we are satisfying the need of the industry across the globe. That's why we're working together. So you'll see my colleague in this room from different countries. During the break or at the end of the session, please come back to us if you have any questions about your GS1 in your country. And just to finish, we have gathered case studies, best practices across different countries, and we are happy to share that with you because if you want to start your journey with GS1, we don't want you to learn all these lessons that have been learned by others. We like to help you, support you in your journey. Thank you very much again for joining us. Now I pass it back to Pierre to introduce the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sherwin. Regulation. If you remember from my opening, I was talking about the tsunami of regulation. You have heard this in several different areas. Sherwin told about it as well. Um, no, we will try to give a glance of why and how GS1 are working with these regulations coming up. And we are doing that not for ourselves, but we're doing that because of our members, because it is the members who are hit by these regulations need to be and need to adopt them. So, um, on the stage, Andreas Fischler from GS1 in Europe and Knut Mathisen, the head of construction, GS1 Norway, will give you a glance and a short introduction about how we, GS1, are working with regulations. So, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to give you some insights. Knut and I will be using the next couple of minutes to give you a short introduction of GS1 standards and how they comply with European regulation. And we will do that in terms of the example of the digital product path. Yeah, you have already seen in the previous presentation who GS1 organization is. Just to remind in this respect that due to the vast implementation of GS1 standards around the globe, it's a guarantee also to be operable and backwards compatible with existing systems. And thus the GS1 standards are a form of how the um, processes in the value chain can be supported efficiently and cost effectively, and also comply in this way for new regulation, like with the digital product passport. Yeah, looking from the perspective of the regulations, we all should be aware of the European Green Deal, where Europe aims to become climate neutral by 2050. And there's an action plan for circular economy behind to achieve this goal. And one of the cornerstones of this plan is the eco-design regulation for sustainable products, which has one core element, which is a digital product passport, in order to provide a digital tool which will serve for transparency to support the circular economy. So the goal is clear: to get from a linear to a circular economy, to support the circular value chain. And in this respect, resources need to be saved. And this is being done by using one or many of the R strategies. So products be more reused, being more repaired, refurbished, resold, or materials being on a higher rate recycled. And this is not concept uncommon, because if you look at the comparison line to the vehicle, the car market, this is vastly used over ages. We all let our car regularly maintained. We repair our cars. We may sell it. The parts of the cars are recycled. All this is being done by using from the concept side a vehicle identification number, which is globally unique. And with that, every car on the globe can be identified uniquely. And then you have the vehicle registration document, which contains certain information referencing the vehicle identification number. And thus you have a similar or same concept, which you can draw the analogy to the digital product passport underway. Just the same concept used for other industry segments and product categories. So therefore, the DPP will provide transparency, which will help on the one side the consumer to make more informed decisions, but also will serve for the better market surveillance. This slide, I know it's overloaded, but it's just to make you aware that it's not just the ESPR to take into consideration. There's much more. If you take the broad overview, the big picture, and I won't go in detail on this, but you need to be aware that many of these aspects interrelate with the subject of the DPP and therefore correlates and contributes to the implementation of the DPP. So it's the ESPR regulation, but it's more than that on the regulatory side. There are delegated acts which will define for each product segment what, for instance, are the mandatory data elements, the data attributes. There are harmonized standards under development, which are important in order that you comply with and be in conformance with the regulation. There are results out of EU-funded projects which help from the practicability point of view to implement the DPP. We'll learn in the next presentation results out of one of these projects. And talking about standards, currently from the European standardization bodies, CEN and CENELEC, they have a joint activity to provide harmonized standards in order to have a definition of the framework for a generic DPP, which will serve all different product categories, so also the construction part. And these standards are currently under development. They cover subjects like unique identification, data carriers, they cover interoperability subjects, the security elements, all these kind of things. And they are quite far in progress. So the next step will be in the next upcoming few weeks, it will be developed to final draft standards, which in the latest will then be voted on by the national standardization organizations, members of CENELEC. Then they will be published and expected to be published by end of Q1 next year. And yeah, if you draw the comparison line to GS1, how does it correlate? As I just have mentioned, unique ID, data carriers, interoperability, all these are subjects also covered by the GS1 system architecture and the different standards we provide, as just being mentioned in the previous presentation. And therefore, the GS1 standards are predestined candidates for being used to implement the DPP. How this could be taking place, I will take two examples. Both are referring to the provisional GS1 DPP standard, which has been recently published. And it's provisional because, as I have mentioned, the European standardization is in the final stage, but not finalized yet. Also, of course, delegated acts will also impact maybe the further development of the standard. Contains already the core elements which can be used and are compliant to the current stage of the standardization at the standard level. As for the unique identification topic, in the draft SEN standards, there are four different ID approaches, one of which is the web-enabled structured path approach, where you can use the GS1 digital link URI. On the bottom of the slide, you see an example for that URI. So you take this link and would then be getting access to a DPP, which leads you to the DPP. But as it is a structured approach, you can use this structure also for other purposes than the DPP. You can retrieve data out of that. Therefore, it is also, for instance, the cashier process at the retail point of sale. So many different approaches. One of them is a GS1 approach, and this GS1 approach is developed to cover not only the DPP, but many other use cases as well. Second example, the data carrier side. Current draft European standard foresees 5 different data carriers, out of which 4 are also part of the portfolio of the GS1 standards. Therefore, you have also on this side a very good representation using GS1 standards for implementing the DPP. And with that short overview, I will hand over to Knut, who will draw the bridge to the more construction-related subjects, as the construction, of course, is also affected by the DPP.
Thank you, Andreas. So the ESPR is, as Andreas said, the regulation that mandates the DPPs, and it's the basis of the standardization request from the European Commission to SENLEC to create harmless standards for 8 different areas, defining the IT framework of the passport, unique identification, data carriers, interoperability, data sharing, security, and so forth. So that defines the framework of the passport, the IT framework of the passport, but the actual content of the passport is defined in delegate. And for the construction industry, that's the CPR, the Construction Product Regulations. I will not go into detail about the actual content of the CPR. That's been covered partly by Lars yesterday, and if I know Lars right, he will touch on this later today as well. In short, there's a demand to harmonize the conditions for assessing the performance and conformity, and the actual one of the actual goals of the Commission is to enable the seamless movement of products across the European Union and the economic area. So what we bring as GS1 bring to the table is quite simple. We are a passport is much like a product passport is much like a passport. It says something about
who you are and where you've been. Digital product passport does the same for a product. And what we do as GS1, we help you give that product a unique identity that can be. We help you connect that identity to data, and we data that can power your business processes, and we help you connect that data to the rest of the world. That's it. Quite simple, really. And that creates transparency, which is essential to create traceability, which is part of the integral part of DPP. And I might also add that this is also integral to fulfill other types of legislation. If you remember the business slide from Andreas, this is essential also to CSPD, PPWR, EUDR, and so forth. If I think we'll have a lot of cases um, diving into this later, so I won't go into detail. But I would encourage you to go on to these one in Europe websites, and if you're interested, and see the look at the position paper, which goes more into detail on how these one standards can help you fulfill the legislation and specifically CPR. So that I give you the floor back to Geir.
Thank you. Thank you, Andreas and Knut. So, on conferences like this, there is, of course, a lot of theory. But let's move a little bit away from the theory and a little bit closer to the practicality. So, digital product passport is a significant part of the new construction product regulation. And now you will get input from a European Commission-funded project with objective to deploy and validate digital passport in real-world settings and scale. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm pleased to announce Aurélie Escobar, Executive Director of France, and Lars Fredland, co-founder of Comet. Welcome to the stage.
I can start. So I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but I think one major thing that I would like to stress is that construction products is supposed to be used in construction works. So that means that there are stronger regulations for construction products. That's why CPR is much more stronger than other sectors. So in this sector, we test the products. We have notified bodies to ensure that what you use is safe for buildings or construction. So this is a difference that I think people should bear in mind when we talk about CPR versus ESPR. Yesterday I mentioned one thing that I think is important to, in this work, mention that there's a new requirements on sustainability. Construction industry is big. The Commission has looked at construction as a major that has a major impact on waste, energy, and carbon. So that's why the regulation now also stresses this new thing. You see in the building, you see technical performance, fire, and environmental performance. Also, what's important in the work that we're doing, yesterday I explained the regulation that we have a data dictionary, but also data templates. So there is a data template here that will be developed under the delegated act for DPP, the standardization request from each and every technical committee will develop the framework for a data template that will hold all the data across product A, product B, product C, product D, same data. This is very specific for CPR. So data templates, ISO 23, it's 7. And what's important when you look at the last slide here is that you see that there's a DPP registry. That's the data carrier. And then you have the DPP, the construction DPP system, where it's more on the information side. But those two things are linked together. It's important. Um, um, the data governance is key here. So we talk about interconnected data dictionaries. So there will be established a European data dictionary that will have an API that any actor can go and use and access that and use that. So that could be reached by APIs, but you could also use that in other dictionaries, like buildingSMART data dictionary. So that means that there is interoperability via dictionaries. So you have two options on how you want to share that. And I think that's where what we will demonstrate here is that we will demonstrate the work done using such a dictionary coming from the Commission with those templates and properties. And we're using that with Linux on the use case with Autodesk Cloud on how to set requirements for fire and all these different things using the template and providing that information to Linux that knows what to deliver that specific project. So that's made to order. And then we have off the shelf. So, yeah.
Thanks for this introduction and the summary of the regulation. So going down to the CIRPASS 2 and what we're doing, do I click here somewhere? Thank you. Thank you. So this CIRPASS 2 project, what it is, it's a European-founded project, and we are 49 partners working together with different pilots as well. So the main objective of this CIRPASS 2 project is to deploy and validate DPP at scale in different value chain. The second objective is to contribute to standardization efforts. So we learned about the Sentinel and all the standardization work. It's also part of the CIRPASS 2 objective. Another one is regarding the demonstration of feasible economy, circular economy in business cases using DPP. And last but not least, support the deployment of the DPP as well. So there are 13 lighthouse pilots for this under the CIRPASS 2 project. Some are on electric and electronical equipment, on textile, one is on tire, and one is on construction. So what we are doing, what is our objective? The main objective we are here is really to demonstrate the practical application of DPP in the construction value chain, in the construction industry. So our aim is really to enhance the information exchange and collaboration using DPP and interoperable standard as well. We are going to demonstrate usage of this DPP with two different value chains, with a make-to-order product and a make-to-stock product as well. And we are focusing on digitalization and sustainability during this project. So we are working with a lot of participants, different partners. You've got manufacturers as Suprema and Velux. You've got Valobat for the circular economy operator, DFE as a public authority, 360 Smart Connect as a traceability solution, CIRCAL, which is a certifying body for construction, Smart Building Environment for construction bodies, and standardization body, Spanish UNE, and after a French standardization body. So we are working all together, and what we're doing is, well, you know all about this project lifecycle in construction industry. I'm not explaining you something that you don't know. Going from generic requirement, so it's all about the building information modeling, going to more specific requirement until you have more detailed product information because it's linked to its product itself. And for the stakeholders, you have a lot of standard to structure data, as Lars was saying, a data dictionary, data template, but also environmental product declaration or level of information, or even product identifiers and data carriers. And when you look at the green box, it's all related to the product itself and the digital product passport. And on the left side, it's all, if you need to have a develop a correct DBP, you need structured data beforehand. So what we're doing is really to connect the project flow with the product flow through the power of GS1 standard and buildingSMART standard. And in the middle, you have this QR code or another kind of data carrier, like a data metrics, for example. But this QR code is really key because it's making the link between the digital representation of a product and its physical representation. So we are going a lot more far away than just building information modeling, and we are more talking about building information management because it's going through all the life cycle of the product and the project. So it's really important. It's really useful at the construction information, and you know what is in front of you. You know if the product that you have is really fulfilling the requirements of your client. So it saves time, as Sherving was saying at the beginning, saving time and money for the actors on site, but also throughout the value chain. Last, do you want to present the cases?
In this use case, we use Autodesk, so it's ACC Autodesk Cloud, to add requirements. So that comes from a loin, so that's a level of information need. We can do IDS and checking, validating data. We have to declare the values. So the question is, what is the needed information for the manufacturer? So as an example, I can say that when you design as an architect, it's like 12 to 18 properties. The need on the manufacturing side is around 50. So there's a delta. And that is salespeople today. There's a lot of communication on PDF and Excel, which we are showing that we can remove. And moving forward, on this, also it's important to say that we are looking at the procurement process. We're looking at reporting according to CSRD, so Corporate Sustainable Reporting Directive. Nationally in the Nordics, it's much about LCA, so LCA assessments for buildings. So we support delivering data to that. And also, of course, showcasing the digital product passport and all the benefits that GS1 Standards provides, which is huge. And I think this is very important that to understand for the industry that you need to identify actually the assets that you have. And this is a big gap we showcase that the industry has that we can kind of solve. So we work here also with, I think it should be interesting for you to know that we have DFÖ, which is the Public Authority for Procurement. So what is green procurement? Question mark. And how can this help governments to buy green? So there are many sides of this, and this also perspective shows that all the different clients can have a common strategy curing or ensuring green procurement, energy efficiency, and so on. So I think this is maybe the most complex one because it includes the design process. And Aurélie, you can take the next one, which
Make to stock product. In this case, it's in this case of the make to stock, the manufacturer is producing its product and putting them on shelf. And when the product is ready, then it is available to deliver this digital product passport and using data to be able to access this information and then be able to make the link with the requirement of the client and being sure that this product then will match the requirement of the contractor. So it's at this point that again, this QR code is making this link, bridging the link between the physical and the digital world, and then the GPP will be useful for market surveyor, as Lars was saying, or even for the manufacturer when repair or having some maintenance operation, or at the end of life, decide where you have to reduce, reuse, or recycle a product. So as the last slide, as you see, what we're demonstrating here with this CIRPASS2 project is the benefit of using DPP with unique identification, linking it with the interoperable standard like buildingSMART standard. And this is very useful for all the stakeholders in this value chain, because from the contractor point of view, you are sure that you've got a compliance between the requirement and the product that are put in place, and it facilitates the regulatory compliance as well. When you are on the construction side, you're saving time and money because with a simple scan, you access all the data that you need on your daily work. For the manufacturer, having a unique identification of the product helps to calculate the carbon footprint, but also to share information through a data carrier. When you are a facility manager, you can maintain a product as long as possible, or even do preventing maintenance because you've got the information. When you are a circular economy actor and you want to extend the lifespan of a product, then you've got this information and you're able to do the right choice, saying if you want to reuse or recycle, and in this case, how to recycle, because you've got the information and you know what the product has lived and the different operation on it. So all about that is really helping or supporting sustainability and circularity as well, and reducing the impact on the raw materials and extending the life of the product. So thank you for your attention, and I give back the floor to Pierre.
Okay, thank you, Lars and Orly. Um, just by talking about digitalization, we see the effect of that, because we started almost 10 minutes behind the schedule, and now we are actually at schedule. So that's good. The next session, calling From BIM Data to Sustainable Design with IFC and GTIN. Here we see the footprint of both organizations, buildingSMART and GS1. You will now get a very thorough story from Paul, and it will be Piotr and Norbert from BIM Ally, or Ali, I'm not sure, but I leave the floor to you.
Thank you very much. Pointer. That's the one. Good morning, good morning, or dzień dobry, how we used to say it in Poland. We are very happy that actually we could be here and share with you some ideas, some concepts of how this workflow actually could work in a real life using actually getting an IFC. At the beginning, let's see, we to introduce ourselves since we don't know each other. So I'll take this quick opportunity to actually introduce ourselves. So my name is Piotr Trusiewicz. I'm a marketing director and shareholder of BIM Limited. My colleague Norbert Lewko also, he's a BIM director. We also both actually set recently a new company called JJLT, which produced Salas AI. It's a new tool which actually evolved from our research and development activities. Ladies and gentlemen, what we actually do in our business case is BIM Toolbox. Our main product will take only 2 minutes to actually tell what we do, and then we jump into the real case. BIM Toolbox basically is a tool for manufacturers to actually introduce your data, provide some automations as well as generators. We also provide some configuration support for companies, production support and automation solutions, as well as dedicated BIM IT solutions. As I mentioned also before, we actually did some R&D work in our IT department, and we actually introduced some tool which quite quickly transformed into new uh, startup. And we are quite happy that actually we are now moved to the third round of financing. So it looks like actually this project is going actually quite fast, and it actually provides some good value. We are a proud member of buildingSMART Polska, and also I'm very happy to be a leader of data for construction subgroup in a working group called GRAI, which is AI working group by Ministry of Digitization. As a result of work for that working group in October last year, we actually published a report called SMART when we introduced 7 postulates, including the need of actually implementing BIM into the legislation and make it actually compulsory. We also actually provided our opinion on the SPR regulation in December last year. We also, thanks to strong support of buildingSMART Polska, we have actually conducted 2 studies in Polish market. So if you guys are interested what is happening in the BIM Poland, I'm actually linking you to bimali.com/reports. You can actually type it in your search engine, jump to those reports, download them, and check how actually BIM is being used among manufacturers as well as designers in Polish market. Concept of workflow. Now I will pass it to my colleague Herbert. So he'll actually introduce it a little bit what actually he is going to talk about.
Okay, for today we have prepared a proof of concept where we try to show how DPPs, BIM models, and how to use the information that stands behind the DPP and make a real value for the construction. So for this proof of concept, we use 3 data sets, tools, native software like Revit or ArchiCAD, manufacturer-specific data, and open formats for IFC or spreadsheets. Why DPP? Why actually use? I think you all hear the very nice information about which value it brings, but actually it brings a lot of value for the entire life cycle of the building, beginning from the design phase to the construction, maintenance, and to the cycle of this building, giving the product a second life. So investor can actually choose a product wisely, think about the building and make it bigger value for it. Designers are going to have a way better control on carbon footprint. They will going to have clear access and thanks to the templates that will be delivered together with DPP. The data will be structured, so it will be easier for them to compare. On the other side, on the construction, it will be very easy to validate. If actually getting code would be a standard solution on every construction, it is very easy to scan products that came to the construction and check, do we have everything that we actually need. Uh, Manufacturers will be obligated to deliver DPPs. It also brings for them an opportunity and make a transparency on the products. It brings also some competitive advantages. Facility managers actually going to have access to the data 24 hours, 7 days. It will be easier for them to maintain building during the life cycle. In the end, like the previous presentation mentioned, it will be way much easier to decide which product we can reuse the next building, and if we demolish a building, to do it selectively, to think what should go where. So for this project, uh, we worked together with GS1 and manufacturers that wanted to be part of this proof of concept. So they shared the necessary data with us. And for this proof of concept, I assume that GS1 product catalog could be actually a central hub where getting codes are stored. Manufacturers already work with GS a lot of actually those use getting codes in our daily business. Designers have an access to the product catalog. They can search through the getting codes, through the values, through the categories for our specific products. We as a BMLI, we already provide a tool, which Piotr mentioned, a toolbox that creates a bridge between manufacturers and designers. We allow to uh, download information, download data directly to the product. And in this proof of concept, we used data of 5 manufacturers. Some of them had already BIM libraries, some didn't, some had all the necessary information, but we had to use generic models. And while working on proof of concept, we faced one challenge. Since we had BIM models from manufacturers, we had some generic libraries that we were using before. Uh, and as yesterday on the presentation, everyone mentioned, the structure of the data needs to be clear. So the problem was that we wanted to have getting code in column that is selected green, while multiple different parameters stored same information. So that's a very common issue that we need to solve. Since we are a software developing company, it was easy for us to use our solution Vita's map toolbox that actually allowed us to automatically map those parameters to explain for the software that actually it is the same value and push all those informations from all the columns to the one parameter, use the one name for the parameter. This way, we are able to export structured data to IFC or spreadsheets. And architects not always need all the information. Building managers and maintenance, different set of the informations. But if we have getting code in place, we can fetch the information that is in DPP to what we need. And how it can work even right now. It's quite simple. We go to the product catalog, enter getting codes, search for the product, enter product page, and through the product page, we have a link that could redirect to the DPP. For this proof of concept, I will show Cella case where we have created a sample DPP which can actually look uh, with all the information that Cella provide us. We can find there all the necessary data sets, certificates, but also in their case, we have BIM models that can be reused. In the end of this talk, I will share with you a QR code so you can experience sample DPPs on your own phones. And for Xella, we have also created a complete catalog of products together with the data behind the products, together with BIM models. And as I mentioned before, we created a bridge to link that information to the model. But other manufacturers that we have in this proof of concept not always have that. So we create a tool that actually, in this case in Revit, can scan project for getting codes. If those are structured in the one parameter, and then fetch an information about the DPP, check that information available online, but also load directly to our project. We can do it the same for IFC. We can do it the same for spreadsheets. We can do it for different sources. The API is open, like with GS1 product catalog. It's possible. This data can later on be added to IFC files. It can be aligned to BSDD standards and requirements. It can be used for the OB exports. So now, please take out your phone and go see a sample DPPs that we have prepared. You can scan one of the codes, you can scan all of them. If you will enter it will allow you to go from one to another. As you can see, DPP are real value that we can use. It brings the information that everyone in a life cycle of the building does need, and it allows to compare products. It allows to choose wisely. Uh, if you need a second. So what next? Actually, we made this presentation, exactly the same presentation in Poland, and we had a very big interest on this proof of concept. Then we start thinking, what next? What we can do for the industry to make it live, actually. So we thought creating our solution, our toolbox as an open source solution would be a huge step forward for everyone. And we would like to share toolbox as an open source solution so that we imagine a world where every manufacturer can create their own DPPs, put their own data in their own instance of the toolbox. They will be responsible for that. On top of that, we would like to create a central catalog together with GS1 where designers will be able to search for the products and go to the manufacturer data, like we done in this example. Toolboxes allow to uh, share BIM models, CAD models, and specification. So this way, actually, everyone could have easy access to the information, to the DPPs, and why open source and DPPs pays off. Manufacturer have a full control over its data. It's not dependent from the third-party companies. Then he can do it better, share data better, but also designers have an access to always up-to-date data, and they can rely on the data. This also allows for interoperability and transparent uh, comparing the products and competition. Also, with the tool such as Piotr mentioned before, that we created as an AI tool, there is possibility to work with the AI on top of the structurized data because AI can be as good as the input that it actually gonna get. I would say thank you. If you have any questions, we are here entire day. Just say hello.
Okay, thank you, Piotr and Norbert, for a thorough and good presentation. So the last one before we take a break, let's hear from a real life operation. And this is from the healthcare sector in Norway, where Mr. Inge Aarseth is project manager from at Vestfold Sykehus Hospital. And he will share his experiences with open BIM in building operation. So please, Inge, please come up to the stage.
Thank you. This will be mainly to those among you who is BIM people. Um, yeah, I can. Here are some key features about our organization. I'm working at the Vestfold Hospital, project manager there, but we are part of the Southeast Norway Regional Health Authority, which is one of the largest companies in Norway, and we are responsible for 56% of the special healthcare for the population. We have established strategies for using BIM, open BIM, for several years. We started in 2011, and we are have participated in several several of these different statements, and we have a strategy from 2021, which is related to also use of open BIM. So we have a long history about that. This is our transfer project, which I was project manager for digitalization and interface management. It is an IPD project. It was an IPD project. We had a lot of advantages using that type of contract when using BIM. We had also some disadvantages. I can't read all the screen here. So I'm not sure if we wanted to use SGTM and get into the project, and that was a little bit of problem within the Norwegian building society and industry. It was not everybody who was accustomed to use GitHub, and we had to press for that. We didn't receive um, or we didn't achieve to get everybody to get on board on that. But we pressed the industry, and we saw afterwards that they changed their attitude and started to use GitHub because we wanted GitHub to be the main identification in order to connect uh, the object and documentation. We had some experience. With the new software, we were implementing a new software. It was from Jotne, EPM Jotne. It's a BIM manager system, and we had plans which were too optimistic in order to implement that. So it took longer time to develop compared to what we um, thought we would do. So we will actually give you a little bit of caution in order to introducing new systems. And although the personnel at the hospital, they were not eager to get on board, so it's a organization development to implement new policies, new the development of the products. Just to mention, we're winner of the design category in the buildingSMART International Award, and we were also winner of the handover category. So we have some experience with this one. Okay. Experience from open BIM and building operation. Here you can see we had planned to deliver models in both native and IFC format, and all the different objects have a tagged the Norwegian TFM system, which is an object identification, and use that identification as in order to connect the object and the different FM information. Through the supply chain of Skanska, we were able to retrieve the FM information from Google, and that was implemented directly into the system we had. And to have a unique identification, that's very important. And we would like, as I said, to have GitHub, because then it would be a walk in the park in order to connect the different objects or the information. However, since our engineering team, they were not interested in writing the GTIN into the model, then we were not able to do that. So the construction company had a lot of work to connect that at a later stage. So if we can get in directly into the model, that would have been much easier. The challenges after the handover. Yeah, software. We had technical limitation. We had instability since we were developing and using it in operation at the same time. That was difficult. We had technical issues because computers were not at the hospital. Were not, can I say, they were not. Um, uh, they had limitations. I can use that expression. They were not enough power in order to operate such large models. We had errors. We have deficiency. You can see it in the I'm not sure. Can I show it with the? Yeah, you can see it with the red. It's a little bit difficult. There's too much light here. But the differences, and actually at the technical room, at the first building stage, it was quite large differences. So we understood that we had to check it up much more regularly. And after the second part, the BIM and the actual actual billing was quite identical. Maintenance of the models. We are in a hospital. There is continuous changes. So we need personnel with the correct competence. And we have added personnel into our organization in order to handle different models. So we started with only architect, BIM technicians. Now we have the whole team with all the different skills which is needed, and we have also included more tools and licenses to handle how it is to have a model in the operational part. We also saw that the models from the engineering team that was not correctly. You can see an example on top of that. The wall was not completed in the model, but it was built. So we had some of these type of issues, which gave us some troubles. How we work today, we had personnel with higher digital competence. We work very hard to have updated models and documentation. And we also are working with troubleshooting, planning and execution of tasks in a much more efficient way compared to what we did before. And we also use more of the mobile devices compared to what we started with. So, in summary, BIM is the future. Transition to use BIM in operation requires planning, and we have some years of experience with it now. We need to have functional systems. We need to have complete documentation. So we are cheering on what happened in the DPP earlier presented here. And we need reliable models. We also must have focus on training and how to use the tools. So that was my presentation. Thank
Okay, thank you, Inge. Bringing a theory into practice is seldom straightforward. So, Inge, thank you for sharing your experiences after doing this for several years. We appreciate it. Okay, we are almost heading for the break. But have anything or anyone learned something today? No? I hope so. Yes, I see some on the heads. Good. We have 30 minutes break So we will start here 11 sharp. But if you would like to see more of this in practical use, Mr. Ben O'Gorman from GS1 Ireland, sitting there, he will be the first one leaving the room. And just outside the room, he has a table and some roll-ups, and he have a very nice demo where you actually can see this in practice. So use this opportunity to see how this actually is functional. Okay, thank you. Come back here, 11 sharp we start, and there are some available seats, so please bring some friends or family into this room after the break. Thank you.